Okay, cool. It's being recorded now. We can get started. Josephine, if you could please drop the link one last time for the agenda. That way, those who came in a little bit late are still able to keep up. I did want to recap last meeting. We had the beautiful and amazing Julie Samiki have a presentation for us. Josephine, if you want to talk a little bit about that as well. You're muted though.
Muted. Yes, so the link should be in the chat now. And then at the last meeting, Julie, who is also she's right there, here today, gave a presentation about insurance for small businesses. So she really went over all the risks that could impact you as a business owner and really covered general liability, and then went deeper into different types of liability, such as employee, professional, commercial auto liability, and workers' compensation. So if you want more details on that, you can always check out the agenda from the last meeting, or I believe on this meeting agenda as well. Her contact information is on there if you want to email her or give her a call directly.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Josephine, and thank you, Julie. Also, partly what we went over last meeting, we did have an open forum. We had some breakout rooms. It was pretty intense for me because I had never done breakout rooms, but it was cool because it worked very well. We got some really great feedback about restarting Eat at Night Live, night market style type revamp. And we're shooting to begin in August. And that being said, we are looking for a subcommittee. I'm going to talk a little bit about it more at the end of the meeting. But yes, just to, drop that little, plant the seed in your mind already, that, this event is coming, and we definitely, want your guys' input, and it's an event for you all and the community. So yes, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Nichole Farley, who is going to take it over.
Can I just say one thing before you take it over, Nichole? Because I'm just so excited about this, and I want to just reiterate a couple things about why we're doing this. And one is just to go back onto the Eat at Night Live. Like, our whole goal for Eat at Night Live is to create an event that is supportive of our local business community, and want it to be designed and curated by you, the business owners, so that it really reflects your vision and can be an event that continues to bring in life to the community, the corridor, and your business. So that's the goal for that. And as we've brought in grant money through, the sheriff's office, through which is, we have to get through like the Department of Justice or the state or other creative placemaking, like to do the murals. We had grants from the National Endowment for the Arts. All of this is grant funding that we've had to go out and get to bring in so we could hire Hasmin and support the chamber and create this stuff to go on. And as we've thought about, what is the way to continue to build out your organization, the EABC, but also create more ownership and money that you can use forever to do more of what you want for your business community. For years, I had been hearing about this idea of a business improvement district or a community benefit district. And a quick aside, I was walking in my old neighborhood in San Francisco. My daughter and I saw a little table. We had a little food. We sat down at the table. It had a little chessboard on it. And there was a note that said, "Look behind you for the chess pieces or the checkers pieces or whatever." And I looked behind me, and there was a little baggie with the pieces, and it said, "Brought to you by the Community Benefit District of Noe Valley," or whatever. And I was like, God, that is so cute. I was like, how did this happen? So, somehow we got introduced recently to Nichole and her colleague at Civitas, who do this work to create business improvements. She's going to describe. I really want you to listen with this idea that there is a way for businesses to work together in a formal structure to bring in revenue into something that you can make decisions around how you want to use it for things like that'll bring people into your community, whether it's festivals or more artwork or things that are interesting to you that also support your business life. I'm so excited to hear your presentation. I just want you to listen with that sort of ear, because everything that we're here to do is around how do we bring more life to our business community. You are a critical part of what makes our neighborhood safe and healthy and alive. And we want you to be successful, because that is the only way to keep that momentum moving forward. And for us, that is public safety. So I'm just putting that out there as the preface to what you're about to hear.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. That was like such a good introduction. I'm going to go share my screen. When I do share my screen, I do lose you guys. So if anything pops up that you guys have questions for, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. But I am excited. So the company I work for is Civitas. We have been working with property and business improvement districts throughout California since 1994. And in the last 10 years, we've really taken this concept of property and business improvement districts, the tourism space across the United States. But I'm not going to dive into the tourism aspect today. But with what I'm talking about with property and business improvement districts, you're going to hear me reference both property owners and business owners, because there's two different types of an assessment district that we can establish using the legislation in California. So I'm going to reference both, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the differences, and then we'll open it up to kind of dialoguing how one of these type of assessment districts would be good for your community. So when we look at the United States, there are more than 2,500 place management organizations. So downtown associations, Main Street organizations, even chambers of commerce, tourism, visitors bureaus, employing over 100,000 people in North America. And what we've looked at is those that have assessment revenue have a median average budget of about $1.2 million. And this is pre-COVID, but you know, in general, this number was even from about 2018. So kind of looking at the post-COVID recovery, it's still fairly accurate with the loss in some business activity. So you might be thinking, what is a property and business improvement district? Well, in California, we use state legislation, and it's the Property and Business Improvement District Law of 1994 to work with property and business owners to levy an assessment for either a special benefit or a specific benefit. And I'll go into that a bit more. But essentially, these districts are stable funding sources for organizations to provide a benefit back to their stakeholders. And I'll talk to those benefits in the future. But instead of always having to go out and solicit membership dues, or always going out and soliciting the jurisdiction for funding, like tax funding, to provide benefits and activities to benefit your businesses and to help people get into your doors, these property and business improvement districts are that funding mechanism that creates a private-public partnership with the jurisdiction. And they're not new. It actually, the idea of dedicated funding paid by an assessment came through the agriculture industry in the 1930s. Agriculture co-ops are still around today. It's the producer that's paying an assessment into a co-op that is then, you know, promoting the product collaboratively to enhance sales. Blue Diamond Almond Company is a great example of a co-op. And there are more. Got Milk, that marketing commercial was paid for with co-op dollars through an assessment program. And this is going to go back quite a few years, but Pork, the Other White Meat, was also a product of pork checkoff dollars, which was an assessment on products being sold. But pistachios have one. There's a lot of avocados out of Mexico. That's all co-op marketing through an assessment being paid. So those advertising is kind of what we're looking to do. But the downtown property owners kind of saw what the agriculture industry was doing and thought, well, if they can get together, levy an assessment for cooperative programming, then why can't we? In the 60s, we were seeing an exodus of downtown businesses into the suburbs and the development of the suburbs. And so downtown property owners and businesses really got together to co-op to keep not only business downtown, but to remind those leaving for the suburbs that downtown was a place to work, play, and shop. And that transitioned into the 90s into the lodging industry. And now, really after 2010, really building more steam here in the 20s is more specialty improvement districts that are focused on culinary and the industries, most specifically like the wine industries. And then the beer industries are also looking at kind of business assessment districts to which they can collaborate and promote their destination and their industry to drive more business activity. And so the way these special assessment districts works is either a property or a business owner pays an assessment. That assessment is collected by the local government, and it's passed through and then managed by a local place management organization. And the nice thing is the way the Property and Business Improvement Law of 1994 is written is that it specifically calls out a nonprofit organization to manage the funds in accordance with a management district. So this isn't something that the city can hold on to and manage unless they are under contract by that nonprofit place management organization to do so. So we see groups look at an existing nonprofit that already has a strong presence in the community to manage those funds, or if that type of nonprofit doesn't exist, we see organizations create new nonprofits, usually C4s or C6s, depending on where the assessment's coming from, to manage those funds. And they build a new board and they create create new bylaws and policies to help oversee the management of the management district plan, and thus the benefit back to their businesses. And so, how are these districts benefiting communities? Really they're engaging business corridors, and they're either providing clean and safe activities, or they're creating placemaking, business development, brand development type activities that really emphasizes and highlights that this business community exists and it's open for business. So we see these districts really engaging and creating activity that supports retail and restaurants and brings people together in social settings, but also providing safe streets and encouraging people to live and work in their communities. So some of the key services that the property-based assessment districts provide is maintenance. So anywhere from pressure washing sidewalks to trash cans to additional street sweeping. We have districts that provide graffiti assistance removal, in which as long as the property owner has paint, if their building is tagged, they're able to call up the nonprofit organization who covers the graffiti abatement and say, our building was graffitied. And they'll send out a crew to use the property owner's paint to repaint over their graffiti, as an example. We also have districts that really focus on the safety and nuisance abatement. And they typically do this through ambassador programs. The idea of, moving the transient population from one district to another is no longer working. And our property and business improvement districts are recognizing that. And they're partnering with county social services and, city social services, if they have them, on ambassador programs to identify and provide services for the transient population. But also, I think one of the things that's going to be really relevant in 2021 and moving beyond is business development and retention. The pandemic really hurt businesses, and we're going to find that a lot of areas are going to have a lot of empty property space and a lot of empty commercial space. So what property-based business improvement districts can do is it can work collaboratively to help attract business and to help keep business within their region through economic development activities. That includes brand development and marketing. So marketing commercial corridor to make sure it's staying top of mind for your community and the surrounding drive community who may want to venture into to see what kind of unique retail and food opportunities that you have within the district. Placemaking, you mentioned your Friday night lights type activity. That is definitely something that property-based business improvement districts fund is special events, placemaking activation to get people in the district and engaging. Some will go as far as infrastructure and capital improvement improvement projects, and parking and transportation as well, whether it's last mile transportation from a BART station or partnering with the city or the county on, parking meters. Whatever kind of the property owners in that geographic area really want to focus on, we build into the management plan, which will allow funding to be used for those types of programs and services. And so with property-based assessment districts, we really focus on that special benefit that is being provided over and above general benefit being conferred on the real property located within the district. So we look at, kind of when we're looking at special benefit and what's being provided, we're looking at the businesses on the assessed parcel and how much they're using, either the clean and safe, how they're benefiting from the business development and retention, how they're benefiting from placemaking, to build up a community and to provide enhanced benefit. On the flip side, business improvement districts, they don't provide nearly the level of benefit as the property-based assessment districts, mainly because business improvement districts typically don't generate as much funding as the property-based improvement districts, but also they have a different benefit requirement, which I'll talk to next. But business improvement districts, what we typically see them focus on is, brand development and marketing, placemaking, which property-based assessment districts also fund, but co-working spaces, parking and transportation, and then what's not listed on here is, but could fall under placemaking is extra lighting, and more of the kind of that patio lighting or tree lighting to emphasize the neighborhood and the community, but also what it does is it provides additional layer of security at night when the trees are all lit up for extended hours when people are walking around. And so what business improvement districts have to really focus on is a specific benefit. And because you guys are all business owners on this call, I think it's really important that I emphasize the specific benefit. Is when we look at exploring a business improvement district, the assessment being paid by the business, and we can design it in a way that if you guys want, it can be passed on to the consumer, but the assessment being paid by your business has to directly benefit you. Unlike a property assessment district where they just have a special benefit, there's spillover, there's no direct correlation of benefit required there. With these business improvement districts, there is, and it's a constitutional amendment in California. So we really have to be specific about how we build out the programs and services and where your assessment dollars are going. Because as you manage a management district plan and oversee the programs and services, we have to be focusing on what's going to correlate directly to your business and help increase demand for sales activity in your storefront. And so kind of with that, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you guys again and open it up to any questions that you might have about the differentiations between the two and how they could be used in your guys' destination.
Yes, Jeremy.
So I was just curious, how long does the process take? Like if there's a street or a neighborhood that we would want to identify as one of these special business districts, how long does that process take once you apply for the process?
Good question. So the process to establish these varies based on the business support when we start the project. So one of the things that I recommend is creating a steering committee of businesses within the geographical boundary that you guys want to look at to explore this. And if it's a business assessment, you want business owners. If it's a property assessment, you want property owners. But the more support we have starting the project, the quicker the project goes. And so the process usually takes about 8 months for a business improvement district, and then 12 months for a property assessment district. And we start with stakeholder engagement. We start building out the parameters that are within the management district plan. So your assessment rate, your boundaries, programs and services, budget, who's going to govern. These do have term limits. So it goes into effect for 5 years on the onset. And if it works, you guys can renew it for another 10. If you guys don't like it, it goes away and you don't have to pay that assessment ever again, which is nice. We don't have very many that don't renew. So kind of shows to the success of how they've been implemented in their own communities. But so, yeah, I'd say, anywhere from 8 to 12 months, depending on the district you're looking at.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's so many factors to consider. And if you have a lot of businesses getting their input, I guess a really quick follow-up question, not to take up too much time, but if you have multiple agencies wanting to manage that specific district, so like, let's say if we're looking in our own area of unincorporated Eden, like if the Castro Valley Eden Area Chamber of Commerce, DSAL, and another local nonprofit wants to designate a certain area as a business development district, how does that work if you have multiple agencies?
So we would look at the businesses within the district to see who they would want to manage it, because we do have to call out who's managing it in the plan. So if the businesses are comfortable and support the Chamber of Commerce and they want the Chamber of Commerce to manage it, then we would call that organization out as the Owners Association. If none of the organizations rise to the top of either business owners' comfortability of managing the district or their desire to manage the district, then we would create a new organization and have that board be made up of the assessment payers to oversee. And then that group could then contract with the Chamber of Commerce or one of the other organizations to help fulfill programs and services.
Thank you.
Is there an ideal number of businesses, or like a minimum kind of maximum number of businesses to participate in a business improvement district that makes it work better? Or
I mean, I will be honest, the less you have in a confined geographic area, the more active those business owners are, the easier it's going to be. Mm-hmm. When you start looking at, hundreds of businesses, you're going to have to create a steering committee that's going to have to engage those hundreds of businesses. And that's going to be very, very time consuming. So if you have like a 5, 6, 7 or 8 block radius down one central street, mm-hmm. I would probably start there and maybe it shrinks, but I think the most successful business improvement districts are between 50 to 100 businesses with some big key businesses within those boundaries that champion and like the idea of the project.
And also it would make the amount of money assessed, like if you have more businesses, you'll have more money in the pot for doing cool stuff than if you were to have less.
It depends on the assessment methodology.
Oh, right.
The way we look at the assessment methodology is we can do a fixed rate based on the business type, or we can do a percentage of gross sales based on the business type. But in order to figure out what that's going to look like, we're really going to need we're going to help you guys determine what your budget should be. Is $100,000 going to be enough? And then we can back into an assessment methodology. Is $300,000 going to be more meaningful to the businesses, and what is that assessment methodology, and does that assessment methodology for $300,000 sit well with the business owners and that they're willing to engage with that fee on an annual basis? So there's a lot of hoops that we jump through, but we take it one step at a time to get those questions answered with the business community.
Right.
Mr. Marty, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, so just, and I think you sort of answered this, but is the business improvement district, are they typically anchored by 2 or 3 larger businesses or larger institutions? And did they then, is there a fee structure where they're picking up a larger share of the tab, in essence, than the smaller businesses?
Yes, typically larger businesses will pay a larger amount in assessment, whether that's through gross sales or through like business square footage or business occupancy numbers. But they don't, we have a lot of business improvement districts that all the businesses are roughly the same size. It's what comes down to it is just the passion for the programs and services and wanting to see improvements made within that geographic region that we get buy-in. That being said, it's always helpful to have 2 or 3 anchor stores that represent like 30% of what the assessment is going to be, because there's 30% and we need to get 50% of the projected budget to sign a petition. And so the petition process is weighted. So the more you pay, the higher your weight is. So that always makes it a lot easier to get us to the public hearing process.
And just to be clear or clarify, so there is one of the ways in which to generate money into this pot for the business improvement district is through like adding, you had given a percentage like 1.9 or something percent, or I don't know, some percentage that the customer bears, the customer is paying for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so we have a few restaurant districts. We have a one wine district, soon to be another one actually in Alameda County. And what they've done is they've built an assessment methodology based on sales activity. So they'll be charging 1 to 2%. The restaurant districts charge about anywhere from 0.25% to 1.5%. The wine is 1 to 2%. We'll determine that, that percentage based on gross sales to meet your budget if that's the assessment methodology work. But yes, they're passing it off onto the consumer. And in order to do that, all they need to do is disclose it in advance. So they will have a sign at their cash register letting customers know that there's an additional 2% fee assessment to be charged to their transaction, or if it's a restaurant, it's on their menu. That there's the additional fee. It's very similar to like the soda tax that's in San Francisco and all the additional fees that San Francisco likes to pass on to the consumers. This one, we don't call it a tax, we call it an assessment because of the benefit requirement back to the business who is remitting that assessment for the district.
And then the business has to keep the records of how much that, let's just say 1% is over the course of that year, and then that's what they put into the pot.
Yeah, and we'll usually look at setting up either monthly or quarterly remittance of that assessment so that the business owner isn't having to hold on to it for an entire year and one big check. But we break it down to really mirror sales tax. And your sales tax remittance, but instead of going to the state, the assessment will stay local and be collected locally.
And then there's a regular, is there, I'm sorry, I have all these questions. I hope it's okay. I'm waiting for Nanette to jump in and like, stop me. But is there a standard sort of operating procedure for the group, like a standard business improvement district meeting schedule, decision-making, kind of, what is the like way in which those often work?
Yeah, so typically improvement districts, if they're creating a new organization to manage these funds and to provide the programs and services, on the onset, that organization is usually meeting monthly. And they do follow California's Brown Act. So there are requirements under the state law that you have to post your meeting 72 hours in advance. You have to open them up to the public and be able to and accept public comment. So very much like a board of supervisors meeting. So they're usually meeting monthly. Once the organization really gets their feet under themselves and their board feels comfortable, if they've hired an executive director or they're contracting out the programs and services, then they'll slow down and start meeting on a quarterly basis just to be the fiduciary, just to meet their like fiduciary responsibilities as board members, overseeing these funds and making sure that the programs and services are being handled and taken care of.
Awesome. I think Jeremy has his hand raised.
This is just one last question for me. How would you recommend starting the process? Like if we we're currently working for a nonprofit and unincorporated, if I wanted to begin this process, how would you recommend starting?
So my first recommendation to you guys is to either start with all your business owners here on the call or go out and solicit business owners within the region that you would like to do this business improvement district in, and take this recording, share it with them, get them familiar with business improvement districts, get them talking about what programs and services do you guys want to see more of? Is it sponsoring more of the, the community activities and the placemaking? Is it more destination branding and marketing? Is it clean and safe and trash cans? Like, I know that was an issue on our previous conversation, is there's not a lot of trash cans in Eden. So maybe it's contracting with the county for more and more pickups. Like, it's kind of, I'd say it's getting that committee together, but also figuring out what your needs are, like what could be better if you had more money, and creating that dream list, and then kind of really looking at how much does your dream list cost, what's I can't think of the word right now, but kind of like what's actually going to work and what's not, and then you'll kind of come down to what your budget needs to be.
That makes sense. I appreciate that. And just one tiny little question is, from your experience, what works and what doesn't work, in a sense? Like if you're starting this process, if you could describe like one big thing that one mistake that people usually occur during this process that makes it not work.
When projects fail, whether it's a business assessment or a property assessment, it fails because they get to the petition drive and they did not do their stakeholder engagement and outreach and consensus building. So that is going to be what makes this successful, is getting out and talking to your colleagues and talking to your business owners, especially when we start talking about parameters, how much, like what they're going to get, how much they're going to pay. We need that support in order for it to be successful. Without it, I mean, we can tell as soon as if we engaged and started a project and 3-4 months in, we see you not doing your stakeholder engagement, we're going to be like, you need to get it done or it's not going to happen. And I've seen a couple projects fail because of it.
Thank you, Nichole.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah, just one last question, and maybe you touched on this, but is there any data relative to like a return on investment for the businesses in a improvement district? Is it typically within a certain amount of time you start seeing some benefits to individual businesses and traffic through the district?
Yeah, when it comes to business improvement districts, I don't have that ROI data. Unfortunately, our firm hasn't focused on that type of research back to the individual business. What we've seen though, with this being levied like on hotels and driving destination marketing, we definitely see that those with, the tourism business improvement districts have a higher ADR, have higher occupancy rates than those destinations in their comp set that do not have these tourism business improvement districts, because they don't have the dedicated funding for reliable marketing. That being said, we do have a couple case studies on like the clean and safe aspect and how like some of the property assessment districts really tackled crime, drugs, prostitution, and the decrease in calls because they were able to hire private security and off-duty sheriffs to maintain their boundaries, in addition to what the sheriff's department was already providing. So I have that type of research. I also have a case study on business retention activity. It's actually downtown Sacramento, and I know it's a big downtown, but I want to see some smaller main streets do this. But they run a contest to fill empty building space, and they partner with the property owners to, provide lease for 6 months for an entrepreneur who wants to open a business in their space, and they create a national-wide competition for it. So it's really fun and engaging for both the community and the entrepreneurs who want to move into the destination.
Thanks.
So I know we only have like 10 minutes left for the call, but I think that, that was a great presentation. And I think, what would be really fun to imagine for this next, as we go into like our next meeting, and for Hasmin to follow up with everybody in the EABC, but there is this sort of opportunity to think of the growing EABC as this group of business owners that could really get this going. And the structure that, that becomes sort of the formal group that becomes the business improvement district, and maybe a relationship perhaps with the Chamber of Commerce, who can help with sort of the back end administration. These are just like thoughts. So there could be more exploration with the people who are not here, but people all of you who are here, to think about how it could work. And I think also the exciting thing that you brought up, Nichole, is to go through the exercise of like, what do you want on the corridor that you'd want to see over time that a little pot of money would help pay for, a pot of money would pay for. And I mean, I know I personally love the idea of like lights during the holidays. Like, I think that's always nice, but somebody's got to pay for that, and or just being able to do regular night markets, that are Night Live or whatever they are, but without the grant funding and having to go after grant year after year to pay for it, but like that you guys are able to do however you want. These things are exciting to me, but it would be fun to have that conversation and hear what's exciting to you, that could then back into like, well, what is the price tag for that, and all those other parts of the conversation. So that'd be really fun, in my opinion.
I'm glad that you said that. We were actually going to make that part of the meeting where we did breakout rooms, so that we could have conversation. We have 10 minutes. If it's still something that everyone's interested in, we can take like 3 minutes, 5 minutes to go ahead and like shoot, and do it pretty quick. Cause I definitely think like with the synergy that we have right now, whoa, I moved the whole table. Look at that. I'm excited. But like with the energy that we have right now, if it's something that like y'all are interested in, that way we can kind of get this ball rolling a little bit and, plant the seed a little bit further, for establishing, the business improvement district and things like that. Can I get a thumbs up? Y'all could react. I got the thumbs up from everybody on the camera. So we're doing breakout rooms. Okay, cool.
No need for a breakout room. We're just not that.
Oh, okay.
Just go for it.
I was gonna do it like breakout room style, so it's a little more like personal, but okay. Cool. Hillary, would you like to start us off?
Lights.
Cool.
Holiday lights.
Miss Lynette, I seen you like, yeah, so what would you like to see? Miss Lynette.
Night market. I like to see the night market. I like the community come together like that.
Okay.
I would throw out there too that Hard is on the cusp of building a Park Plaza right there at 166 and East 14th Street. So maybe there's a way to use that or leverage that as some night market kind of opportunity there.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone else would like to share? You don't have to turn on your camera. Jeremy said the Ashland Commons will be open in 2 years to the public. This is exciting. This will fit very well into the timeline. Anna, Jose, Diana.
Nothing from me outside of all of your incredible ideas, things that, I've seen other places that, we can only dream right now to kind of put in that area. But yeah, I'm loving this.
I think it's a great idea too. The whole concept and how it comes together, the community. What comes to my mind is where my center is. It's very vacant, so getting enough support would be already an issue, and that would be my want and needs is to fill the center. So I feel like I'm in a hard place.
That's interesting. Like get more retail in those other storefronts that are in that area.
Yeah, but if there's not people there, why would we choose my spot as the location? There's not.
It's like a chicken and an egg.
So maybe, and from a very high level, something that we could put funds to is business recruitment and partnering with the county's economic development to find businesses to fill those spaces.
That's a great idea as well.
So, I mean, yeah, to your earlier idea of just like having, talking to the owners about giving, 6 months leases to new entrepreneurs or pop-up style. I mean, we have so many food businesses coming through the food hub, to be able to give people a chance to launch and create a bit of a there right around where Mass Meals is would be awesome. And maybe, I never thought about this, Jose, but maybe we could in fact consider taking over that parking lot for this Eden Night Live round 2.
I'm sure you get the support. I'm in tune with the landlord, and they're all about filling it, but it just doesn't seem to happen.
That could be a win.
It's what that area needs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because we are looking for spaces, and that's a nice big lot.
Yeah, if it's vacant half the time, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we could, and if you obviously like in connect with the landlord, that's definitely a space that we could ignite. I know Diana said that she would like to see, I don't know what bancas are in English. What are they? Benches. Thank you. Benches. I was like, how do you say that in English? I panicked. More plants and lights up in the area. Mm-hmm. But yes, definitely the night market. Thank you, Diana. I got scared. No. I was like stuck in Spanish. I was like, I can't break out. Okay, cool.
I think I'd like to add, if this is a serious endeavor that we would want to take on, I think identifying which areas would be these business districts, so then we can kind of look into the process of doing any sort of outreach with the businesses in the area.
I think so. The area that we were looking at, I believe, is the East 14th corridor, right?
Yes, yeah, for Ashland and Maryland, and mm-hmm. At the moment, and it's nice to meet you, Jeremy, sort of, but Hasmin and Josephine are spending a lot of time doing outreach in that area, so you guys should connect about not duplicating, but being coordinated.
Yeah, like make sure that we actually have a meeting tomorrow, Anna and Jeremy and I, at the food hub, so this is definitely, I'm excited to meet y'all in person. That way we can talk a little bit more about this game plan. That way, perfect timing. Wow, look at that. But yes, we can talk more about this tomorrow as well, at our meeting. That way we can make sure, we're not duplicating efforts and being really efficient with our work and being in like really tight communication with one another with establishing like the business improvement district in the area of Ashland and Cherryland. Well, thank you.
I have a question, Nichole, kind of to follow up a little bit on what Hillary was saying about the potential of using business spaces as pop-up spaces. Would individual organizations like DSAL and like Mandela and other maybe nonprofits, would we be the ones to kind of build traction, hold funding for the assessment for those individual spaces because there wouldn't be a permanent business in them? Or how would that work? Have you seen it work that way before?
So Calling All Dreamers, the program out of Sacramento, they actually, they they weren't necessarily looking for pop-ups. They were looking for entrepreneurs who wanted a storefront location in their community. So while they got, I think it was a year of leased space, I never saw the final agreement, but I'm assuming that they had a multi-year contract with that property owner, so it would balance out for the property owner. So that's, that's kind of what I'm envisioning, because I don't think a property owner is just going to be like, yeah, come pop up for 6 months, no rent. They're going to need something on the other side of that incentive to move into their space. So maybe it's, if you're only looking at a year lease, maybe it's 3 months free to get you up and going. You're paying the longer the term, the more free space or mini months that you guys can work out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, awesome. Are there any other questions? What other questions might you all have for Nichole? We do have 2 minutes.
And feel free to share my information with the group. Yeah.
Yay. Okay, cool. Thank you. We will, if it's okay with you, put it on the agenda. That way, when we send it out again, the recap of the meeting, everyone has your email.
That works. I don't answer my phone, so definitely
Okay.
email.
I never give out anybody's phone. It's okay. I'd be like, email's cool. Y'all could send them an email.
I mean, you could totally call. I have an office line, but there's no voicemail attached to it. And my voicemail on my cell phone's full. So
she's like, email it is. Cool. Awesome. If there are no other questions that you all have for Nichole, and it is 4:59, so we made perfect timing. I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody for being here. Special thank you to Nichole for, offering your services, your help, your expertise, your insight, and such an amazing opportunity for not only the community, but for the business owners. So yes.
happy to hear.
Yes, thank you. But yes, that being said, I believe it's about to be 5 p.m. and I'm not
Yeah, if I could just
5 p.m.
Hasmin, I know you're gonna follow up, and there's like things happening.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I'm interested in seeing, if there can be a subcommittee formed to talk about the night market, restarting the Eden Night Live. And Jose, I think it would be really a great idea to follow up with your landlord over there and see what we could work out and start this conversation. And we kind of have a goal in mind, like maybe August. It's like it's still warm. It's still like, so it would be really good to set up a meeting on a regular basis, kind of moving forward, just to kind of really start planning this out, plotting it out, and designing it so it's going to do all the things you guys imagine it doing. And then, and it would be good for us to start keeping track of how much it's going to cost to do this. I mean, we have grant funding to do it right now, and that's great. But now we have this idea of what this business improvement district can be. So now we have a new lens to think about, like, what kind of money do we want to bring in on a regular basis to pay for stuff that this business community wants. So I'm looking forward to being part of the subcommittee. So sign me up, Hasmin.
Sign me up.
Make sure you let Hasmin know, or she's going to just,
yes.
sign you.
Would everybody that's on this call like to be part? I know Jose, I would love for Jose to be there. Just because I know that would be so dope to light up y'all's space. Nanette, girl, I got you. I love Nanette. Hillary, got to include you. We love you. Of course. But yes, if you'd like to be part of the subcommittee, go ahead and shoot me a text, a direct message right now. Shoot me an email, shoot me a phone call. School is over, y'all, so I'm definitely more readily available than I've ever been. So, y'all could bug me. I'm gonna bug you for sure. But I look forward to seeing everybody on the subcommittee.
Thank you
so much, and have a lovely day. I will see everybody very soon. Be in contact if you'd like to stay on. Me and we'll be here for an extra couple minutes, but other than that, y'all can dip. Have a lovely Monday.
Bye. Thank you.
Everybody. Thank you.
Adios. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jasmine.
Adios, Diana. Gracias. Bye, Nanette. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Jose. I don't know Bruce is
Oh,
Yeah, over.
no, he had to go to